Let's light this.
This is the first in a while, not a podcast.
This is not a ClevelandMoto podcast.
This is not. Just like we don't use a ramp at Mid-Ohio, it's not a ramp. Here we go.
Here he is.
Oh,
he's staging. He's at full throttle. This is happening. Yeah!
All the way into the night.
Yeah! This is not an official podcast, John. Why is it not an official podcast?
Well, our humble narrator, Phil Waters, is not present this evening.
That's true. And that is because we are about 8 hours away from where we usually hold the podcast.
That is correct. We are in the Great White North in Speculator, New York.
And not just anywhere in Speculator, New York. The world-famous Grumpy Sewer Guy's own vacation home in Speculator, New York.
You know, a lot of people's vacation homes have a name. Does this have a name? Do you guys call this anything? Or
I don't name anything.
You don't name your chickens?
No.
You don't name your
I don't name my dinner, so why would I name my chickens?
So here we are. To my left, are you gonna do?
No, all you, man.
Okay. So to my left is
Piper.
My daughter Piper McElfresh, and to your left, her left is
Chris Smith.
And to his
and
left.
What did you ride today, Chris Smith?
Oh yeah, very good.
I rode the 2002 Kawasaki Concourse.
Chris is the only one that rode all the way from Cleveland.
Right.
So in the mileage competition, he wins.
Well, Chris is also the only one that doesn't have a trailer and a tow vehicle.
Well, and we all brought small bikes, so
Yeah.
it would have been hard to ride a small bike all the way up.
Yeah.
You know, what's the biggest bike here other than Chris? 200?
Yeah, 200 cc. No, 250.
250.
XT,
right.
250. All right, to Chris's left is
Amy and Beatrice.
And who are you guys?
We are your family.
And that'd be me, Sleepy. But McElfresh has had his eye on that, so I'm. And to her left,
Dan Kromke.
Dan, you made it all the way out. What time did you get in last night?
About 10:30, quarter to 11.
Yeah. It was a late one for you, and well, not for you. Then, John, what time did you get in?
We got in at about 3 p.m. Or excuse me, 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was interesting.
What time did you leave Cleveland?
We left at about 7:30 after I got home from work, and I was actually waffling, planning on maybe just trying to leave in the morning.
Yeah.
But then a certain somebody said, "I want to get there. I want to be there for the morning. I don't want to waste the whole day." And
she's smart.
So I'm like, all right, well, let's hit it. Let's hurry up and get packed up. Well, it took a couple hours of hurrying up and getting packed up to hurry up and get packed up. But we got on the road about 7:30, and we knuckled it out. I hit a wall about 1 a.m., and I was getting sleepy, but, we made it. I think the last half hour was the worst, like coming in on 365. And like I was just drifting over the line every once in a while. I mean, I wasn't asleep, but I was just like not even caring about.
Piper would argue with that last comment.
Well, there were definitely a couple times where I nodded off and I caught myself and I was like, oh. And my wingman's over here playing on her phone, which to her credit, she was still awake at 3 a.m. But
I always notice, like right before I fall asleep, I can't hear anything.
Yeah,
it's like I lose my hearing, and I know that as soon as my hearing shuts down, that I'm falling asleep, and it kind of wakes me up. So
yeah.
Well, and so to Dan's left, or do we get to Dan? Yeah, we got to Dan.
Yep.
Dan, what did you bring? What did you bring with you?
Brought my Yamaha 200 CS5. That doesn't charge, so I've got very limited range.
That's the first two-stroke that's not limited by its fuel consumption.
Right.
Is actually limited by its electrons.
You should put one of those little old bike light generators on your wheel that rubs on your wheel to like charge your battery.
At least get you like a few more miles out of it.
Well, you got a notification today, didn't you?
The brushes for the generator are going to be here, or probably are here today.
Yeah, a day late, but oh well.
Wow.
That's cool. You got them. And then, all right, so to Dan's left is the man of the hour.
Steve Hoffert.
The hostess with the mostess.
That's right. So, John, if you had to describe where we are right now, because, I think the video is just going to show fire. So I don't know if you're going to see much else.
Yeah, here we are. We're on a lake. We're in what could be considered, what was this, 1950s? cottage on a lake, made out of slatboard siding and everything. Very nice accommodations. This is what I would call timeless.
Yeah.
This lake is, in a lot of places, this lake would have McMansions all the way around it, but here has sort of been spared that.
Yeah.
And everything is still pretty much fairly humble, aside from a few people that have built their McMansions and flipped them just to make money and everything.
But they kind of stand out, like they're kind of looked down upon. I mean, it seems to me from.
But also, we're sitting here at night and you're looking at the lake, and there's big patches of no lights where it doesn't look like there's even houses all the way around it. So this is relatively primitive. And I know before I came out here, I looked at the satellite of this area.
Yeah.
And like when you start going, if you go over that hill and off into yonder, there's nothing but woods for a long way. So,
yeah.
And there's not even like a pipeline or a house or a gas well.
Well, to that point, when we took our ride today, not realizing that there are no other gas. Like if you don't get gas with the town that you're in or completely fill your tank, there might not be another station for quite a while.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about. Okay. Well, there's different aspects to that, but you went to Paradox, which I'm very interested to understand what the Paradox is. That this brewery was named after it. You rode bikes. Not everybody riding their own bike.
There is a Paradox Lake.
Okay, so that's where it gets its name.
But I'm not sure that it gets its name from that. But it used to be in this very small building in a city called Scroon.
Scroon.
Yeah.
So that after you use. If you screw somebody, they can consider themselves scroon.
It's not, but it's spelled SCHROON, not.
Oh, okay, like schooner, like schooner tuna.
Yeah.
I will vouch for the quality of their beer, though. It was really good.
Yeah, it was definitely good.
So they had it in this small building, and they had just a tent outside where you would get beer. And they didn't even have a tasting room or anything. Well, they might have had a tiny little tasting room for the winter. And then they built a whole brand new brewery, and they moved from Scroon to a town called North Hudson in this old place that was called Frontier Town.
Oh, that sounds like something you'd find at Cedar Point. Don't they have a frontier town, like the fake town where everything is just a storefront and nothing behind it?
Well, that's what it used to be, because I've been riding up here for years and years, and I would go. It's one of the routes I would take in my circular pattern from here. This is my starting point, and I'd go around in
the Speculator circulator.
Yeah, pretty much. But you go down Route 9, and this was like one of the things I used to like pull into Frontier Town. It was abandoned. It had kids or whoever that went to the place had thrown rocks through all the windows, and like the doors were kicked in, and it was just like very dilapidated. And I always had
tumbleweeds blowing down the street.
It was like, seriously, it was like that. And I always had a dream of buying it.
Yeah.
Because it's on like maybe 30 acres. I mean, it's a very big property, and they weren't really asking that much money for it.
So how did it get built, though? I mean, why did Frontier Town exist to begin with?
It was like a destination place.
Tourist trap.
Yeah,
okay.
And like they have a couple things. They have a place where you could look for minerals, and they have like Auger Falls, and they have a bunch of different places where tourists would come up here and look at different things. Like they have a place where you could mine or pan for your own gemstones.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And it's kind of cool. I mean, it's like an garnet is really big up here.
Oh, cool.
So
a lot of diamonds too, I understand.
I'm not sure about that, but I know garnet is big, and there's a lot of little shops that make like garnet jewelry. So it's just one of those places that just at some point fell out of favor, and people stopped going to it, and really the economy, I'm sure that through the 2008, and it didn't help it. I mean, I think it was even out of business before 2008, but there's been so many.
Oh, so this isn't something that happened back in the 50s and 60s and everything. This was up until, this century, or,
Right, no, it didn't go out of business in the 50s. It was still probably thriving until sometime in the maybe 90s even. I don't know the history of it. I guess I could look.
Well, that kind of thing, there was a shift, you know what I mean?
Right.
Back in the day when families went on vacation, they went to those kind of tourist traps and stuff like that. Nowadays, people they're really not into that Western shoot 'em up kind of stuff. And
yeah, it was cool though. I mean, and down another part on that road, they have Noah's Ark.
Ah.
The dude built.
He actually built Noah's Ark?
It's like a quarter scale Noah's Ark. And it's like, the thing's huge, but it's still.
So we can only take one of every kind of animal.
Or just the important ones.
And every other animal.
Yeah, no insects. or only insects, maybe.
Elephant, out of the question.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's kind of sad to see like things change, but in this case, they replaced a decrepit, vandalized building with a brand new, beautiful brewery that produces excellent beer. So,
yeah, and it's quite a distance from here.
yeah, it's 65 miles.
And I still don't understand what the paradox is. The paradox is that brewery gets its name from Paradox Lake. Where does Paradox Lake get it? What paradox could there be that would name a lake Paradox?
Well, why do they call this Speculator? There's nobody
that was my next question on the list.
I'm just saying there's nobody panning here. I'm sure the Hysterical Society could probably tell you.
Because being a speculator is actually a term used in mining. I know it's used in investing and stuff like that, but, people...
Real estate.
It's not called prospector. It's called speculator. So you're speculating that they're, maybe that I don't know the proper definition.
I guess I assumed it was real estate.
Okay.
And the one good thing too here is that, or the one interesting fact is that this is the only town in the entire United States called Speculator.
Oh,
really?
Yes.
So whereas other towns, there's a Cleveland, Texas, there's a Cleveland this, there's every other, and no town has a name that's specific to it. Speculator is the only speculator in the United States, and maybe the world.
Maybe.
Because
I don't think there's a Speculator Japan.
Right.
So.
So you were
it would be spelled
me,
differently.
Or North Korea. There's probably a Speculator in North Korea.
So you were saying too that this lake, this beautiful lake that we're sitting on, is not a result of a dam. Most lakes that you find have been dammed, and that's why there's a lake. This is actually a naturally occurring glacier lake.
Well,
Really?
they are glacial lakes, but there are dams down, further down there. Mm-hmm. So whether or not this is lakes enhanced by the dam or not enhanced by the dam.
I looked at that a little bit, and the dams are making their own lakes on down. Like, I don't think, because there's a channel that runs from here down there. I don't think it's actually bringing the level of, just from what I could see,
Right, and this lake varies. You could see that the beach has been, we have a
sandy beach.
right, and we have a wall, we have
I used to date a girl by the name of Sandy Beach.
I knew a girl from Germany called, I knew a girl from Germany called Sandy Hunt. We won't go there.
Johnny man.
Well, you were talking about the seawall here?
Well, yeah, we have a seawall, and you can see now that we have you can't, the listeners can't see, but there's 10 feet of beach. There's 10 or 15 feet of beach now, but at some points in time, the water, like where we're sitting right now, is underwater.
Spring melt-off.
Spring melt-off or heavy rains or when the lake level comes up, and it's it's problematic for some people, but most people have backup sump pumps, and we don't have a basement here, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so are you high enough back here?
Yeah, we won't. The house is high enough that the floor, it never gets into the first floor.
Because you're what, 20 feet above lake level? You think?
I don't know, maybe 15. Maybe the first floor is maybe 15 feet above that, but
Are we up in the mountains? Are we way above sea level or not?
we're not way above sea level. I think we might be at 800 feet, maybe. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but I think we're not like in Cleveland. It's 534 feet, I think, above sea level.
Oh.
And here, I think it's higher, but it might be a couple hundred feet higher than that, because the Adirondack mountain range is just an old mountain range. It's been worn down over eons.
So
Yep. Sorry.
I'm able to look up here in the sky tonight, and I can clearly see the band of the Milky Way. I mean, the stars here are more amazing than just about any place I've ever seen them. There's very little light pollution, and right now it is a perfectly clear night. And it's just amazing what you can look out into the cosmos and see from here.
Right. And it's amazing when I got some really good photos the other day. The last time I was up here, I sent them to you guys. But it's amazing when you look at it with a telescope. You see in each, like in the field of view that you're looking through, the small field of view you look in the telescope, you see like 10,000 plus stars.
Right, like you can look at what you think is a star, and then you look at it, and it's actually a galaxy.
Right, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, really cool. So tell us a little bit, Steve, maybe you, Cinch.
Yes.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the ride out to the brewery.
Ride out was great. So,
and what that was like.
well,
Why don't you talk about what bikes you were, what bikes was everybody on?
we all took small ones. So I was on my TNT 135. Dan was going to ride his 200, but due to the charging issue, we were concerned he wasn't going to make it. So he rode my buddy.
Yeah. So you guys said you were heading out, and you happened to mention we're going on a 127-mile ride, and I kind of laughed it off. I'm like, oh no, they're just going for a little ride. But then I remembered that Steve had said that the brewery was about 65 miles away.
Right.
And then I did my math, and I'm like, well, yeah, 60, you're going to be 120-some miles out and back.
But I literally, so yesterday, me and Steve took a cruise around the lake yesterday, did a couple things, and I stopped and filled my tank on my green bike, and then I went to buy booze later on the scooter, and I filled that and just rode back here. So they were both full. That's why I didn't get gas when we stopped in the morning.
Tippy top.
Tippity top, like half a mile on both bikes from getting gas.
Because I know you have this theory that Steve set you up.
Well, I was like, we know Steve, and Steve can calculate to the nth degree the last molecule of gas that will travel through his bike. And
You know what he can't calculate, though?
What's that?
The exact molecule of gases that will flow through your bike.
Oh, no, I can, because ask him what Steve said. Well, Steve was looking at his Benelli, and he said, "Oh, I can make it home." I'm like, "You're not going to make it home." I said, "You."
Oh.
He said there's a lot of.
No. This is after he.
Okay, so
You
Was
guys
this
are
after the
jumping
first
way
one?
ahead in the story, too.
Okay.
We did. So
Because first of all, today is the first time I ever rode a scooter over 40 miles an hour.
this is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Oh, we want to hear about that.
Well, he did good. It was
I
great.
made him stop because I was hearing this kind of high-pitched buzzing noise, and I was concerned there was something wrong with it, so
Yeah.
I made him stop. And this
It
is
was
weird
just
thing.
the-
It's like
just the variator.
when you're going downhill and you get it wide open, you're hitting almost 65 miles an hour. It's almost starting to turn into a scream, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
if I could go a little bit faster, it'll sound like a Stuka dive bomber. Just
This is on a Buddy 125, right?
Yeah, Buddy 125.
Those bikes are one of my favorites.
I couldn't get it over 65.
Yeah, it
even
does-
on the on the downhill, you guys slowed down, so I kind of had to.
you guys
You
are
should have
both
tried
faster
drafting
than me,
off of one
though.
of them.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe we could have got it up to 70.
so I don't know if you were holding back on me.
A little bit here and there. I was just trying to keep with you. Yeah.
Because I mean, my bike does about 55 or less. So sometimes if it fell off a cliff, it would do like 60. I mean, if it was in free fall, it would do 60 miles an hour
I
no
think
matter
though,
what.
but
So,
watching it go up hills, it really loses it. I bet you if you put a pipe on that thing and opened it up, it would just get enough oomph to take you up the hills.
I think what it really needs is a power valve. I think if you put in like a Y pipe and had a power valve in it, where you would just bypass that stupid cat loop, and it would go dump it directly into the muffler, like at full throttle.
Yeah.
I think you would gain a little bit, but I was thinking when we got back, I was thinking that bike would really be good if it had maybe like a 175 or like a 200
Oh, well,
that'd be great.
with a turbocharger.
if you're going to do that, let's just make a 250, a 250 monkey bike would be hilarious.
There's a guy on the clone forums. This guy Mark Davis, I think. He has a TNT 135 that he put a 250 in, and now he just got a wrecked. Some guy bought an RX4, that CSC RX4 adventure bike. It's a 450.
Yeah.
He bought that motor and he's putting it in the 135.
Well, that's silly.
Yeah, but I bet you it'd be a lot of fun.
So
no
I
doubt.
like the lightness.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, what could you do to make it this bike better? Well, it needs better rear suspension, and Chris and I have already. Both Chris and I know that the thing bottoms out on you. So
It was pretty good for me.
the monkey.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the buddy.
Yeah, no, the monkey. The monkey bottoms out, and then so it could use a little more power. I mean, I think it's got like a lot of torque, but it loses it at the top end. It's like it runs out of breath or something. It's like it can't get enough air through it. So I think it's probably due to the skinny little pipe. It's porting or something. Like the ports are so. If
Well, if you look at the head pipe on your bike, I mean, it's the size of your pinky.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It does not lend itself to a lot of flow from
So,
what I can
Steve,
tell.
one guy that I saw on YouTube took the front sprocket off. It's a 15 and put a 14 on, and he picked up about 5 miles an hour. So he got it up to about 64 from 59.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you went up a hill with a smaller front, that's
That's
not
better. That's
It's
actually
better.
better.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
good. How are you
That's
going
a down
to?
gear.
That doesn't make. Yeah, you're going down. So why would that pick up?
Well, it gives you more
Torque, so
It's
why
like
would he
shifting down a gear.
Right.
Yeah,
why
but
would he
at
get-
65, right now, I think it's bumping off the fastest I've ever had. It was 66, and I think it was bumping off the rev limiter. So.
Well,
I don't know.
that's a different. Okay,
But
so
the thing is, then you'd give up. I mean, you could give it more power, you could do all this stuff, but then I would lose my 100 miles per gallon. And if it wasn't for that 100 miles per gallon, we would all be sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah, right now.
So what you're talking about, Steve, is the sprocket change. Why does he feel like he can go faster gearing it down a tooth?
Yeah, that was confusing because
He
I get
can't.
you get more torque.
The answer is he can't, because at 66 mile an hour with the bigger sprocket on, it's going to bump the rev limiter.
Right. So a
But
smaller
what he
one-
can do with a smaller one is get to 65 and hold 65 better
Right.
until he hits the rev limiter. So he's probably going to hit the rev limiter at 64, 65. He might not get it up to 60 to be able to get 66.
But
out
the
of it.
hills will go a lot faster.
But he'll get up a hill. He'll have a
Right,
little
it
bit.
needs like a half gear between 3 and 4. I mean, it needs like a 5-speed, but it just needs
that-
a
That's why
5-speed.
they made 8-speed racing bikes, so that
Right,
you could
you can
have
have any gear.
you could play with that. You're stuck with 4 speeds. So
But you know what's interesting for the TNT is that when we were on hills, right? It hit in 5th gear at 7,000 RPMs. It would just lug, and it didn't matter what the steepness of the hill was.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
went the same speed up it. It was just 7,000 RPM, and just kept going.
well, that's nice.
It was really kind of cool. Yeah,
that's a good bike.
Does that have a 5-speed?
yeah, the 5-speed.
So you didn't have to drop it into 4 going up a steep hill.
Not unless I wanted to beat him. So
Okay.
if we were both kind
So
of
wait a
just chugging
second.
along.
Wait. When you say beat him, you're racing against the monkey bike.
Yeah.
Really? The monkey bike is holding its own against the TNT.
Well, no.
Going up a hill.
I think it's a little bit fast. His bike's faster than mine.
Yeah, no, I was
No,
hanging.
I'm not
carrying
surprised
more
by
load?
that.
I was hanging behind him, but then if I wanted to pass quickly, I would just go down to 4th.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Cinch,
you weren't battling.
Who's
with him.
carrying more load?
I think we're almost probably the same. I'm 234 right now.
We need a
I'm around 240.
we need a
Yeah,
teeter
so-
totter.
Yeah, I think we're right
See
the
which
same.
works out.
So Smith, you put 8 hours in. Any excitement on your trip up here?
Well, I had one more question. You talked about hills.
Yeah.
So the terrain and everything. You had pretty steep hills and everything
Oh
going
yeah,
up there.
yeah. It's a lot of hills, nice roads, beautiful twisty roads, little towns and everything. And
I noticed when we gassed it up and I was coming back, at first the thought crossed my mind. I was like, I can't get it to go as fast as it was earlier. It just won't go that fast. I go, did something happen
The
to
wind
it?
was in our face.
And I realized right there we were going into a really strong
strong
headwind.
headwind.
I was running about 5 miles an hour less than I was
Yeah.
able to do
Oh, yeah.
on the way up.
well, you know what else was weird? And I talked to Steve about it. When you get in these roads out in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing. It's just a road and trees, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going, and you kind of feel like you're going downhill, and all of a sudden we're doing 70, right? But then it looks like you're still going downhill, but the bikes are slowing way down, and you're like, what the fuck? But then you realize that you're actually going, you're going uphill, but less of uphill, and your brain starts to get all weird, and you can't figure out what's up and down, and it's weird, man.
Yeah. You can't see the horizon and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So a slight upgrade, you can't really tell it as well.
And especially if it's less than the upgrade you were just on, it almost feels like you're going downhill at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was pretty fun.
So the beer was good. The
Yep.
trip out was good. Came back. You're not the only one who ran out of gas. In fact, you weren't the first one who ran out of
Nope.
gas.
And wait, can I say something? And to my credit, So the person who ran out of gas first actually had a working gas gauge.
Oh,
The second person, me, does not have a functioning gas gauge.
oh.
But I still called you running out of gas. 'Cause
No,
he
you
was
did.
like,
A quick question though, Dan, did you know you had a gas gauge?
I did, but it just never occurred to me that I couldn't ride 65 miles to a brewery and back. I've never had a
On
bike
1.5
with that small
gallons of
tank.
So was there a gas station between the
No.
brewery and coming back?
no.
None. Not one.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know.
That puts the ball back in your court, Steve Hoffert.
See, I know exactly, I calculate continuously what my remaining range is and, what my fuel economy is. So I knew that I was getting 98 miles to a gallon. Because I could do the calculations. So I knew I was getting 98 miles to a gallon, and when my eat shit light comes on, it means I have a half a gallon left. So then you could just, whatever it says on your odometer is what your mile per gallon is. So I knew I had about 40 miles left, and I knew we were within 40 miles. So Dan runs out of gas, and then Steve's shaking his tank. He's like, "Look how much gas I have left. I have so much gas left." And I
I
said,
didn't say it, so I think I have enough to make it.
"And I said, you're not going to make it."
You said you're going to be 4 miles short.
I said, "Yeah." And I said,
I
"You're
was
going to be 4 miles short."
And I was 3.8 miles short. So,
So where was Kromke at this point?
He was way back
I was
there.
like 30 miles back.
He was in
Leave me,
the
guys. Don't leave me. It's okay.
He was
Save
in
yourself.
the beautiful city of Baker's Mills.
in fact, I think you were in front of a meth lab.
Right, it was like this rundown trailer with a couple of semi-broken down cars. And
Diapers. There's the typical kid area with diapers and a shitty jungle gym that's falling apart, and a burned out mattress with blood stains to the left. It was interesting, man.
What
That
detail?
was one of the worst places.
hey, nobody's going to mess with the guy on the scooter.
That's the best part is parking at the brewery with the Harley there, and we all
I've got,
get
like,
off
my leather
get off our hogs.
Triumph jacket on.
So Steve Hoffert was the winner of the Paradox Loop.
Yes,
He outfueled.
and Savior too, because he went and got the gas and brought us home.
Yeah, he pulled in, and I'm like, "Where's everybody else?" And he's like, "Oh, they ran out of gas." And I'm like,
So
"Okay."
Hoff, you had to go back 40 miles to get Kromke?
Yeah, 20 and 20.
Yeah, it was 40. It was 44 or 24 miles back to his
we
position.
did put fuel in the monkey too, so
Now-
he can make it
Now,
back.
Kromke, did you push your vehicle maybe that extra mile to get a little bit closer to Hoff coming?
Pushed it about half a block up to the little pull-off area.
To the
Got
crack
off
house.
the
To the
guardrail.
crack house. He pushed it up to the crack house.
Right. Push it up by the
We
crack
going,
house.
we going
and
nighty?
Waited there.
All right, B.
While we go that way, say
Night
goodnight.
night.
Come here, Stinker.
Well, I didn't go because I felt like I needed to take a nap and stuff. I was pretty
Hey,
beat
Miss
up,
Amy, when you come back out, would you
and I was
be a
diddle
pal and
bopping with.
grab
I
just
brought
a
my
can of beer? Sure. Thank you.
I brought my '67 CT90, which just wasn't happening.
Did you
I should
figure
have
out if
taken
the timing chain was messed up?
No, the timing chain is not messed up as far as I can tell. And I was riding it, I rode it around here a little bit. I think it actually has something going on with the clutch. That there's this kind of knocking thing, because I took the points plate off and advancer, and I was able to hold the crank. Go to top dead center, and then everything's free there. You have that loosey thing. And I had no slack or anything in my timing chain. One little turn and it was translate.
Right.
Nothing was loose. You couldn't shake them at all. And I could even see where the chain looks like it's going over the wheel and everything like it should. So
Yeah, so it's not
I'm
sagging.
not
or
worried
anything,
about
so.
that. But what I did notice is that I was getting a little clunking sound when I would go from back and forth on the crank. And it seems like it actually goes. I think it's like the clutch basket or something on the other side of the motor is loose and is dunking back and
That's
forth.
not
So-
keyed, is it?
Well, the other thing is, it probably is keyed.
So you have a
Not
damage-
keyed. It's cogged. is what I
Cogged,
think.
yeah,
Not
so-
spline, but like it has it's almost like the output shaft on your front sprocket. But I did notice too when I was running it, the noise went away when I pushed the back of the shifter and shifted it, which engages the clutch. So there's something going on that bike on the clutch side, I've had them make that noise, but not nearly as prominent as this one's making it.
Yeah.
But it ran really good. I was running up and down the street, and it was like, oh, okay. So I don't know, but that's not going to go 120 miles ever, probably. That's going to be only Mid-Ohio type bike.
So the 1 year at Mid-Ohio, I rode my Passport home from Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, I remember that was the year you went with me. We put it on the back of my RV, and then you rode it home.
Yeah, and then you said you were going and you're coming back, and then you never came
my
back.
friend died, and I had to go to the wake. So
A Passport is a 3-speed 70cc.
right.
I mean, I've ridden Passports, and I felt like 35 mile an hour was difficult.
Well, mine will do like 42, and sometimes it'll do 50. But that particular day, I was having a major problem with it. It would run for maybe 5 miles and then just die.
Ugh,
And that's the way it worked almost all the way home.
crazy.
So I ended up taking, I pulled the car apart many times because
On
I
the way
know
home.
it's starving for fuel. I know for sure that it was starving for fuel because it runs really well. I mean, it runs fine, and then it runs really, really well, and then it immediately dies.
Yeah, it has that little lean spot where it runs great.
Right. So I finally bought a new Chinesium carburetor and put that on, and it runs. Now it runs, but it's not as fast as it used to be. But what I discovered was it looked like almost a tar snake inside the old carburetor, like where the fuel, because the petcock is built onto the side of those carbs.
Into the float bowl.
Right, into the float bowl.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then there's a passageway that runs around and then goes to the needle.
So it goes through, there's a passageway through the float bowl.
Right.
That goes up through the float bowl gasket and into the carburetor, and then back down through the needle valve, and that's how it dumps.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I discovered was
And then does it have the little screen on the back of it? There's also a filter screen that it goes. Is there a little round thing on the float bowl with that you can take a cap off and there's a screen in there?
That I did not see. So I don't know if it was missing.
All the
or-
CT90s have that. I don't know what your Passport has.
Yeah, I don't believe it has that. But what I did notice was it looked like a black string, like it almost looked like rubber, through that entire passageway. So it was occluding the entire passage.
Yeah.
And I tried everything. I tried ultrasonic. I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner. I put it in carb cleaner. I did all this stuff, and I cannot get that piece of string. Sorry.
What about ultrasonic with lacquer thinner?
I have not tried that yet, but I'm willing to do anything because I would love to go back to the original carb. But the only other issue I have with that...
Well, you remember, too, the podcast that I brought the float bowl for this CT90 in.
Was that the Loon?
That's the Loon.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that was cool because
For the
explained.
people in podcast land, each lake doesn't necessarily have a loon, but a lake will only have one loon at a time, and if another loon flies over a lake, they make this hauntingly beautiful.
I heard it.
It's a hauntingly beautiful sound. And so if you want to look it up on the Google machine, loons are these very large water birds that are like white and black, like variegated white and black, and they have red eyes, and they can swim underwater like hundreds of yards. They're unbelievably cool birds. They rarely go on land. In fact, I don't even know if they can go on land because they're not built to be on land. They can fly. They can go under. They can swim very well, and they usually just hunt for fish or whatever on the lake. And they have they have babies on the water, and they go into like the marshy areas to have babies or have chicks. And
Oh, there it was. I heard it.
yeah, so right now we're hearing the loon, and I don't know if this is going to pick it up.
I mean, I heard it in the
probably won't.
headphones. I just heard it in the headphones. So.
Well, I always thought that loons
This is gonna
mostly
be
only lived in the north.
Looney Notcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we were down in South Carolina last Christmas, there were loons on Lake Jocassee. We did a pontoon boat tour down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're very cool birds. They're my favorite. they are my favorite bird. So
And you
That's
say there's
very
only-
appropriate that a loon would be your favorite bird.
and you're saying there's only one loon to a lake.
So I wonder what happens. Like they get
typically there's one
territorial.
loon occupies a lake.
Wow. So I wonder if they have like a turf war. Are they ever battle? I mean, I wonder. This is
You
something to
see
look
them
up.
fly over, and you could hear them calling. They call when they go over the lake. And I
Anybody
think
down there?
I
Yeah, I'm
think
here.
if they
This is my
respond-
lake.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Go fuck your hat.
See, I'm not like up on the
Yeah.
mating rituals of loons, but I really think that
Come on.
I think it's very cool. I just really like the thing. So
So I think that takes care of the brewery trip. Excellent.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. He brought us gas.
oh no, the one thing I would like to mention though
Yeah.
is
Oh.
that the stupid New York State trooper
Oh yeah.
is pulling over people, and then after he got done with his thing, I had already, Steve ran out of gas, so I was heading back home. I was going up a hill. I was doing like 43 miles an hour, and all of a sudden I see this guy behind me, and I pull over, and he's like slows down and looks right at me. So I'm like, I pointed at him and I waved him out.
Yeah, move
And
along.
I'm thinking, and then so I got in behind him, and I'm thinking, you couldn't take the time to stop and see if
Yeah.
Steve was okay. I mean, like, he's at the side of the road on a broken down bike, and the guy didn't stop. He's too busy writing tickets. Where in Ohio, state trooper will stop. He'll change a tire for you. I mean, I've seen many state troopers changing tires or giving you a gallon of gas to make it to the next exit. Or
Right, because he just passed two guys, at least one guy who was out of gas already.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, and although
Another guy
Dan was on
coming
a
out of a
different
meth
road,
lab.
Dan was on Route 8, and he was like way off the beaten path, and you were on Route 830, which was where this guy was patrolling and writing tickets. So I would like to thank the Ohio State Patrol for being much more professional than the New York Highway Patrol, and our governor's way better than you, Cuomo.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this. Is interesting, and like I'm all for masking. That's fine, and everything like that. I'm not opposed to it or anything. But this was an interesting rule. So we're allowed to go to the brewery. You're allowed to get in line. You're allowed to stand there. You're allowed to drink. You're allowed to do all that. But you also have to buy food. And what constitutes food, you ask? One bag of 50% potato chips between the three of us.
That came home unopened and is sitting on the back of my car.
No, that was
was a
from the
different-
last time I
yeah.
was there.
That's,
okay.
that's one food item for up to 10 people.
Yeah. And if you keep your tab open, that one food item can remain there as long as you want. So it doesn't. I just don't get how.
No, I'm sure that's some sort of a law going back where people just open bars.
No,
without serving.
it was
Just enacted.
It was enacted July 21st.
Well, it's kind of like, back home, they're doing takeout drinks and stuff, but you have to buy some
But
sort
only
of
with food, right.
But maybe they're maybe that's how they're designating these places as being essential because they serve food.
Yeah,
So the
they're saying that
beer
they're
is not
restaurants.
essential,
Yeah.
but the food is.
But beer is food.
Hey Chris, can you toss a log in the old fire there? Maybe the one that I hit you in the head with. Sorry.
I'll toss it over.
That
to some-
damaged log that hit you, that you damaged with your head.
Go ahead. One of you guys are. I'm not getting up.
So you seem a little tuckered out there, Chris Smith. I don't know why you would be. You've just rode 8 hours. Well, how long did it take you?
Well, I left my house at 11 after hoping to leave at 7 in the morning. But I had a little party for myself last night.
Okay.
And so that didn't pay any dividends until...
Give us more details on that.
Did you do the 8-hour ride of shame today?
Well...
Are you still married?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mrs. Smith didn't give me too much SH on that, but we were down at the Hansa last night, and I had a couple of liters of the blueberry gosa.
Oh,
You
that's
certainly
good.
do like that huge glass that you drink out of.
Well, that's I bought that next door, and I leave it down there, and they hang it up on a hook for me. So that's actually my dimple glassen down there.
Nice.
I wanted my own dimple glassen.
Well, just buy one and tell Boris to leave this here for me. He'll,
Boris is so cool.
If you tell him you know Chris Smith, all kinds of doors will open.
yeah,
that's
they charge you double.
And the problem though is that your buddy, the owner, comes out, and then he's like, "Oh," he goes, "Come on, let me give you 3 more fingers of that." And so you have like a 87-ounce glass,
I
right?
have some Schlevowitz with
And
that.
so his 3 fingers means that he's not filling it up. He's giving you 72 ounces this time, and that's
Yeah,
just
and he smacked me a couple of times on that yesterday.
So you're starting out a little
Oh man,
a little stiff.
I was banged up this morning, and so I got on the concourse, and
Well, we were talking about what bike could you possibly ride, and there was only one choice. We thought was the Concourse, the Drifter, no bags or anything. But I mean, it would have been nice. But the Concourse is the perfect bike if I'm going to ride an 8-hour day.
with the possible exception of my legs the pegs are so high.
Well, that's what we talked about in the other podcast. Is every bike needs the pegs an inch or
Does
two
Knight
lower.
Industries make lowering pegs for a concourse?
yeah, they can. Or
I'm
you can
sure
modify
somebody
it.
had to do
Yeah.
something with
You
it.
should look into those, Chris, because they make it much more comfortable.
You think 1 inch though is going to make?
One
it
inch
is.
makes a world of
The
difference.
whole difference. My NC 700 when I had it, it was okay, and it used to bum me out. And then I got those Knight lowering pegs, 1-inch lowering pegs, and I could ride it for 4 hours a day if I had no problem without
That
stopping.
seat's horrible on that bike, though.
Oh yeah, I had to fix the seat. Oh yeah. No, I had
It
a
felt
set-
like you were like sliding
yeah, it was trying to
downhill
make
the
your
whole.
dick part of the tank. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was terrible.
So aside from your Easy Pass fucking you in the ass,
Yeah, that goddamn thing. I don't know what the problem is, but it works sometimes. Even in Ohio, it works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. So I think the answer is what my brother does is when he gets close to one, he takes it out of his pocket and kind of waves it in the air. So I got to figure out how to do that as I'm going through the.
but isn't the whole point is that you don't even have to stop? You're supposed to be able to just roll through and you're good.
I was told, I actually asked at one of the toll booths about that once because I had the same problem on
Yeah.
my Triumph. And they said that there's actually a sensor in the road that has to be triggered as well as the pass being there. And the bike just doesn't have enough mass to trigger.
Okay.
I want to say, have I heard of people putting them underneath the bike, like under, like down?
Magnets?
Well, the Easy Pass itself, like maybe putting it closer to the road surface and it would pick up
Yeah,
better.
but is that...
The antennas are above you.
Okay, that's
They're like
those-
those flat. They're flat, and now it appears to me that they're going to go with no stop tolling. Because see all those areas, there's new.
What I was going to ask you, what the hell?
I
are
think
those things?
I think those are going to be no.
I hope they're not speed traps because I'm fucked.
No, they're not speed traps. I'm pretty sure that
So
they're
they're going to toll you the whole way out there?
No, in Wisconsin, you don't
Illinois.
even stop. I mean, you don't even have to stop.
It's in Illinois, yeah.
Is that Illinois?
Yeah, I drive through
Yeah.
Chicago like 3-4 times a year.
Well, that's
Yeah,
how
but they have those
Pennsylvania
new
is.
ones where
Yeah,
you have to.
you're going 80 miles an hour, even though the speed limit is 55, through the toll booths.
Yeah, you don't have to stop at all, and they just ding you as you go through. But they're like there's like 92 antennas on those things.
Was that what the things were with the lights? And I mean, I thought they were cameras or something like that, where you go, it's over top of the
I mean,
roadway.
Those look a lot like the ones in Illinois.
They look exact. I think they look exact.
mean,
That's what they have
the
in
roads are
Pennsylvania. When you
bigger
go
in
into
Illinois.
Pennsylvania, they have those things set
There's the
up.
moon.
And if it doesn't read you, it takes a picture of your car. So that and then I had a person, I forget who it was, maybe it was one of you
That's why
guys.
you got to make sure your tags
That they could
are
actually,
registered to
they
the
looked up,
Easy
they were able
Pass.
to bring up the picture and they're like, well, it's not your fault. We can see the Easy Pass in your windshield. So they just charged, so they got fined for not using their Easy Pass. And so they squashed it because, well, we can see you had your Easy Pass. We'll just, you'll just get billed the regular amount.
Mine read 3 of the 4 times. The first time I went through the toll booth, it didn't read. And then I adjusted it. Like I said, I put it on top of my Yeti, and then it read the last 3 times. So I
Call
know
Easy
that.
Pass.
Huh?
Call Easy Pass.
Yeah, it says call Easy Pass. So.
On the
And plus, I'm running dirty plates on this. I have my dump truck with my Tundra plates on it. So I mean,
Hey,
but they're registered. I mean that plate is registered to
somebody.
Easy Pass. Yeah, I mean it's registered through Easy Pass as a Tundra. So I mean I don't think that's going to make any difference because I mean you think some Yahoo in the middle and some office is going to know the difference between any car. They probably drive a Kia anyway.
Hey, you guys want to hear something good?
Yeah.
You want to hear what happens when Chris Smith butt dials you?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this can't be good.
Hang on a second.
I hope it's that bodily functions.
There we go.
Hopefully you did in the shitter. Wait.
So he's going to play it for the microphone.
Yeah.
2020, 125, 1 down, 3 up. Just a little buzz around 1.1 gallon tank. Nice little cruiser through the metro park, wherever you have to be going.
What an idiot.
It sounds like he's talking about a Janus.
And he said
Yeah.
it. No, it was about the monkey. He said it right at the beginning. Honda monkey.
Oh, okay.
And then he went right into the rest of it.
Oh, interesting.
So Pete Hempfling has an announcement. I talked to him today,
Okay.
Yeah.
and he was cleaning out his garage in Lakewood. Mm-hmm. He's got a Trail 90 with a title that he wants to get rid of. It needs work, but he thought one of you guys here might be interested in a Trail 90
Why doesn't he just apologize and come back to the podcast?
with a title.
Do you ever ask him why he won't come back to the podcast?
I did, and he says he doesn't like Hoffert.
Well, that's nobody does, so it doesn't really matter.
I think that's something, though, that we should probably just talk about maybe after our not
Right.
a cast. Yeah.
But anyhow, so he doesn't want much money for it, and it does have a title. So
Yeah.
for all you guys who are looking for Honda,
I can't.
Trail
I
90s.
don't have any space for any more bikes.
I don't either, but I'm
Steve,
interested.
you always have more space. You
Yeah.
always got room for Jello.
Well, I thought you were going to say he has a
I'm actually
CB160
looking. I'm looking for space.
because I sold him the
Mint.
CB160.
What? You sold me the CB160?
Yeah. At Mid-Ohio the one year.
What?
Yeah.
Sold who?
I sold Pete Hempfling my CB160,
Oh, does he still have it?
as far as I know.
Maybe
And that's why when you were talking about he has, he's cleaning out his garage in Lakewood, I thought you were going to say, oh, he's selling a CB160.
I'm going to get it, and I'm going to drive to your house every day and just go by really slowly.
And I'm going to say, hey, Steve, nice CB160. Look at my CB77 305 Super Rock sitting there.
It's much
That's
nicer.
twice the bike that thing is.
Hey, why don't you put a log on there, Mr. Log King over there?
So tell us a little bit more about your trip. So what was your maximum velocity?
Oh, people are cooking down 90. I can't believe that these drivers in New York are just.
Because you're taking 90, we took 90 all the way from Cleveland all the way out here pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and these guys are.
Max on
I
fire.
was very surprised at
Dad.
how New Yorkers in their huge Escalades come screaming up the left lane right up into some other person's trunk,
Yeah.
and then go from 85 go down to 70. It's like, well, gee, Charlie, why'd you race right into his back end? So
Did you have any of this? We had people. I was pulling the trailer. We had people come up behind us. I'd be trying to pass a slow car in the right lane. I don't stay in the left lane, but I was over there. Car comes up and gets on my ass.
yeah,
I move over. They race by, get in front of me, and then slow down to 60. And so, to the point that I have to slow down, and then I pass them. They race, get behind me, and then the whole fucking game plays over and over. And I'm like, what are you doing?
yeah, I didn't have that issue.
None of that bothers me as much as the semi-trucks who got to play the slow-mo. We don't want to break the speed limit by very much, so one truck's going 69 miles an hour.
Oh, and the one
and
passing.
the other one's going to pass him at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
As slow as
It's more like a
in
quarter
3
of a
weeks.
mile an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, 69 and a quarter.
like over a period of 20 miles, it takes one pick. It's like Jesus Christ.
Well, I can't complain because I'm only doing 55 in my dump truck, so.
You know what? You know what's funny? When we were riding today, and that log truck got in front of us, he was going fast enough that I kind of liked it because it was like a blocker. Like, nobody could get mad at us for blocking the lane. Like, if we could have stayed behind him, we could have made good time, but he turned off,
Yeah, the bad part, though, was it was spewing sawdust everywhere.
Yeah, there was that. And he was actually slower than us on the hills,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, I got so much sawdust in my eyes.
So the concourse ran great.
Yeah.
No complaints.
None.
How many fuel stops? 2, 3?
2 driving up, so I was pretty much full. I had 2 stops, but I was pretty much empty by the time I came to Speculator. So
Oh, you did it on one tank?
no, 2.
Oh, you filled up twice?
Correct. So I started
How big is the tank on that?
7 gallons.
So, 7 gallons?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're getting about, what, 35 on it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go look.
That's not acceptable, okay? You're talking to Steve Hoffert. Why weren't you calculating your miles per gallon as you were riding? Why don't you know this?
I was trying to figure out why my Easy Pass wasn't working.
Oh,
You kept on going like this with it.
you were distracted. You were distracted.
So we got, what, a couple more days? What's the plan for the next few days? Any riding? What are we doing?
Well, I imagine
I'm
there'll
gonna
be
go to the
another
brewery
ride tomorrow somewhere.
Hoff, I was thinking, I don't like taking 90 up to Buffalo and then across. So I was very close to.
20. You could take 20 and go through the Finger Lakes.
86.
I was thinking taking 86 over to, I think it's Route 36 that goes up to 390 and comes in somewhere near Rochester.
You could take 20 to 5.
Have you been on 20?
Yeah.
And what's that like? Is that like driving down Detroit Road?
No, it's mostly like 55, 60.
Yeah.
And then when you get the city, of course, you're going to hit all the Finger Lakes. So you start out in the most eastern Finger Lake is the most affluential Finger Lake. So it's really nice, it's like really cool. It's like all the Buffy and Bobby are walking around in their like sweaters and all that stuff. But as you progressively go west, it's like it gets poorer and poorer and poorer. Like
You get to the stinky Finger Lake.
no, I mean it's sad. No, just to see like it's like a cross section of like American society, because like it's kind of sad. Like when you get to
One finger smells like fish.
So
One finger lake smells
Steve,
like
have you taken 20? Because 20 leaves or cuts off a 90 just a little bit south of Buffalo or
Right.
west of Buffalo.
Right, and that's what I've done because south. What I've done is I've taken 20, but then there's like a Route 5.
Yeah.
And you could take 20 part way, and then you could jump on 5, and 5 goes right to the lake, and then you could follow 5 along the lake, and then jump back on 20 in Ohio. So 5 is like the scenic byway,
Yeah.
and you have periods of going 60, and then you have periods of doing 25 through towns, and it took me 11 hours to do it that way.
Okay.
But I mean, when you take the freeway, if you take 90 and you're doing basically the speed limit and you stop one time, it's 7.5 hours. If you take 86 down south,
Yeah.
it's like more southern, and then you go through Pennsylvania, that other whatever that you take, you're like more in Pennsylvania. It's beautiful. It's like more scenic.
Yeah.
But it takes you like 10 plus hours. And then if you take 20 with all the stops and the breaks and the cities and whatever, all the stuff that you have to do, then it takes you about 12 hours. So it's a matter of time.
I did avoiding tolls on mine because I don't like to pay tolls. But I didn't realize also that the tolls between here for driving Ada all the way from Cleveland to here was less than one toll going into Pennsylvania. But
Yeah, you're right.
but it was going to take me 8.5. It was only going to take me about an extra hour and a half. However, taking 86, some formulation.
Well,
of
that's
86.
what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying. It takes you an extra hour and a half. So if you're looking at 7.5 to 8 hours, I mean, depending.
It was a different. It was going to be 7.5 hours or 8.5 hours. So like another hour.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
See, but that's not what I found, because that's what they say.
Right.
But it's not. It doesn't work out that way. It takes about 10 hours to take that southern route.
No,
I mean, I don't know
didn't
why.
take that route because it would have sucked getting here at
Oh,
5
dude,
in the morning.
5 or 6.
Yeah, no, yeah, but what I'm saying is that route, I mean, because I've done all these different routes just to see something different.
Yeah.
I don't really care for taking 90 because that last leg of 90 between Buffalo and here really stinks. It's flat, it's monotonous, it's
Two lanes.
Yeah, and
It's
it beats you up. I mean, it just super slab's no fun, but the Finger Lake route's pretty interesting. I mean, you see some interesting stuff, and the scenery's a little bit better. But I think that Route 5, I mean, I liked it. You go through a lot of different places. You go through all these small lakefront towns, and there's some nice ones. There's some really run down ones, but it's interesting. I mean, I enjoy it. I'd rather go that way if I have time, but I don't really have time. So I jump on 90 and
Time keeps on ticking.
stick the tow motor engine on my dump truck in fifth and just.
So we rode 65 miles. Which direction did we go today? Like north?
Basically, we went northeast.
Okay, northeast. So that was 65 miles. There was nothing. Was there anything else around there? Like that was it. Like that's the destination.
Ticonderoga is there. If we hadn't gone over, if we had gone over 16 miles right when we hit 74, we could have gone to Ticonderoga, Fort Ticonderoga. It's very interesting, but it's closed now because of the COVIDs. So you wouldn't. I mean, we couldn't. So that is interesting. I mean, there's a great story behind that, and if we went west on 74, we would have gone into Lake Placid.
Right, okay.
And that little section of road, 74 from 9 west on 74 is really good. It's like right by Whiteface Mountain. It's like you're going along like Whiteface Mountain, and there's a river. And I think Chris and I rode that one.
Yeah, when we went down to Lake George, right?
Yeah. No, when we went up north that one day, we rode that. I mean, I rode that with some of my other friends too. When we came up here one year, and I wore them out so much and never want to come back, which is pretty sad. So they were like, "Let's go up to New York and ride." I'm like, "Okay, but if you're going up to New York with me,
because they'll leave you on the side of the road.
You better take Novocaine for your ass because you're going to be riding all day." And they're like, "We can do it. We can do it." Like whatever. Yeah. So we rode, and at the end of the day, they're like, there was none of this. They came home. They ate like 2 bites of food. They went right to bed. And then so the next year, I'm like, "Are we going again?" They're like, You ride. You beat us up."
That's
it's like
ridiculous.
I didn't beat you up. I mean, you should have just told me.
You could have pulled over and said, "Hey, I'm gonna."
So Steve, I got to tell you, as soon as I turned onto Route 8, took that left, and I was going down probably about 5 miles or whatever. There's a little volunteer fire department that comes up on the right. I had to pull in there and take my jacket off and zip it all shut because
it got cold. Yeah, it gets cold. Holy cow!
What the hell's going on here? So I zipped that baby shut, and that did the trick. But
when Dan broke down, I was toasty and fine. I had shorts on and my riding jacket, no gloves, and I was perfectly fine. He broke down. I got back here, picked up gas, went back to him. By the time I got back to him, the sun was already going down, and it was cold. I mean, my hands were like
10, 15 degrees, I think.
Right. I should have grabbed a pair of gloves, but I didn't, and that was my own fault. But when I got back from when both of us got back, I went right and took a hot shower just to warm up because I was cold.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I made it back before you because you hit me first before you went out and got Dan. And even the last 3-4 miles, it was getting chilly, even right there.
Right. This is the way it is in the fall here. It's like this was a very odd day because normally in the morning till like 9 o'clock there's mist, and like when I come up here like this time of year to ride, I can't really even start riding till 9 o'clock in the morning because you can't see anything, and your bike is your bike's soaked, and you can't see anything, and the roads are wet. And I mean, I'm not going to needlessly endanger my own life.
Right.
But this morning when I woke up, it's like it was a crystal clear. Today was like a perfect day.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
A perfect day. And it was not too hot, not too cold. The humidity was low.
I woke up at 8:30, and Steve was already up, and we're chit-chatting. He's like, I already rode 60 miles today. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I'm like, are you the same Steve that was here whenever I got here at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we went to bed at 3:30, 4 o'clock?
Well, that's what woke me up. So my daughter wanted to go to bed, and she was like, can you take me to bed, blah, blah, whatever. Mom wasn't available. We'll tell that story in a minute.
I killed your wife.
But I went to help her fall asleep, and I laid down on that top bunk with her. And then the next thing I know, I heard you starting your bike this morning. That was like the last thing and I was like, what time is it? It was like, when did you leave? Like 5:30 or 6?
No, it was 7 o'clock. It was 7 o'clock.
No, it couldn't have been. Really?
It was 7.
Oh,
What were you doing?
Well, my original plan was to go out and get some eggs and some milk and make some buckwheat pancakes. But then when I got to the store, I found out that it's senior hour between 7 and 8. I'm like, I
mean, you don't qualify for that?
I'm close. I should have sent Chris there. But he wasn't here yet. He wasn't here yet to go get me my pancakes. So anyway, I'm like, I'll just ride up to Indian Lake. So I rode up to Indian Lake, and I normally take a lot of pictures up here, but I'm always I always seem to be there in the afternoon. So this time I was there in the morning, and I took pictures of like what it looks like.
Was it dark when you left, or was it just dawn?
The sun was like up, like right where the moon is now.
Yeah.
The sun was like that. Okay. It was over there though, but it was about that high. And it was super comfortable this morning. And usually it's like you know that
crisp.
Cold,
and damp.
Cold and damp. But today it wasn't. I mean, the roads were a little bit wet. But
Sorry.
it wasn't
You're
too
really
bad.
messing up our sound quality.
That's an error.
He
I'll have to edit that
Chris
out.
just threw his wood leg up on the. Yeah, no, but I really do enjoy riding up here, and
Yeah,
I
the
enjoy
roads
being
are
up here.
nice.
This
I
is
think
like
I'm gonna have to borrow somebody's bike tomorrow because you had mentioned it was like 35-mile-an-hour roads here and there, and I'm like, no, that's it.
No, I said you could if you bought a bike up here, you could ride around like 35 miles an hour, like in the area.
Yeah.
But you couldn't really no. Like I could have brought my Zero up here and done what
I did what I wanted to do too. I wanted to get that bike out and I wanted to diddle with it, and I felt
Well, my
and I didn't really want to load
XT250's
up a KLR 650 on the back of my stuff, and
But we could all ride again.
Yeah, we got
and even
plenty of
take the
bikes.
XT250.
Yeah.
No, that was the plan right from the get-go. I'm not riding my bike.
You're gonna take my
Actually, John told me he's a little upset, Steve. He didn't bring his African twin out.
You didn't bring my African twin.
Sorry.
You
But you know what? That bike is good up here because the range on it is very. I mean, it's got an excellent range.
Well, that would have really came
It's
into
got a
play
300-mile range.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean,
That's not that big of a gas tank on it, though, is it?
it's a 5-gallon tank, and if you
I didn't.
at
You wouldn't know
55
by
miles an
looking at
hour, it's actually over 300 miles because at 55 miles an hour, that thing gets 62 miles to a gallon.
Holy fuck. My Super 10 rate, I do 190 per tank, and I have a 5.7 gallon tank.
Wow.
I could probably do 225 if I had to.
And as Steve pointed out, that was Rambo's bike.
No, the
We're looking-
XT250, yeah.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, but is that the bike or is it the rider?
What?
The mileage you get on that?
No, I mean,
probably a
I've
little-
tried. I've
You
done.
you ride fast though too, so
I do, but it's sometimes though just slabbing though. If I'm just doing like 60, I put the speed control on or whatever, and it still only gets like 42 to the gallon. It won't get more than 40. I think the most I've ever got was 45 going down to Georgia, and that was just because I didn't do any. I just literally put it on speed control, and it was straight for 8 hours. You know.
So you took out the Steve whiskey throttle cinch factor.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, I got a question. Who brought the Basil Hayden in there?
There's a couple of those
I
bottles.
saw
in there.
that.
Well, Steve Hoffert had posted that he was drinking the good stuff and getting rid of it before we got here.
Those alcohol sponges. You got it. So before you guys got up here, I drank a bottle of Basil Hayden's.
And then, not to be outdone,
How long did that take you?
2 days.
2 days?
Wow.
Not bad.
You're
I
an
drank half a
overachiever.
bottle in a day.
Yeah, that's,
Well,
it was delicious.
But can I also say that also helped him prime himself for what took place yesterday?
In what regard?
So he made his Grumpy Sewer Guy
Signature.
famous signature handmade super margaritas.
which I hadn't had a margarita until I had one of those today.
And I think if you were gonna kind of say like what a restaurant would do, they usually do like 1 part tequila, 4 parts margarita, right?
Mix,
Mix, yeah.
right?
lemon. What's it called? The lemon.
Lemix.
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 That's
right?
not a margarita. That's
No.
crap.
So Steve makes his margarita, which is fresh. Now, granted, this is like a handcrafted real margarita, but it is 1 part margarita mix and fruit, and 6 parts.
There's no margarita mix.
No, I'm saying what you made, like
Yeah.
the
Wash.
stuff that you ground up, whatever. No mix,
No,
handmade.
so
But it's like
this
1
is
to 5
cocktail
the
hour
wrong
here
way.
at the ClevelandMoto non-podcast, and I'll give you the recipe because I want people to drink good margaritas.
Oh, it was fucking good.
So buy some good, fresh, juicy limes,
Yeah.
and take 4 limes and hand mull them or hand juice them, and make sure you get a little
coconut.
make sure you get that good pulp in there, and then you take.
Then you take a drink of tequila.
Then you take it. No, so then
First, drink some tequila.
whatever that volume is, whatever that volume of limes are, because some limes are juicier than others, and so you're going to have like X amount of ounces of lime juice. So say it's 4 ounces of lime juice. So then you take 4 ounces of lime juice, 4 ounces of Grand Marnier, or I use Grand Gala because it's the same thing, and it's the same type of liquor, and why waste Grand Marnier on a mixed drink? And then make sure you get it depends on what kind of tequila you like, but I like
Are you
use
listening,
Añejo.
Piper? Why waste Grand Marnier on a mixed drink? Remember that. Take that to college with you and teach your friends.
So then it's 1 part lime juice, 1 part Grand Marnier or equivalent, and 2 parts tequila. And then I add 2 heaping tablespoons of what the hell's the name of it? Turbinado sugar. Because it has the molasses in it.
The Turbinado Tornado.
Right, that explains why they were so dark.
Right, that's why they were dark. Because, well, the Grand Gale is dark too. The Grand
Have
Marnier
you ever
is
tried like making a turbinado sugar simple syrup?
No, that would be even better. I mean, that would be. In fact, that would be better. But
I mean, it
I'm
takes
lazy.
like 5 minutes to make it. Even without heat, you can do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
and that's what I should have done.
at the end of
but-
the day, they were very good, but they were very, very, very strong. And my wife weighs like 130 pounds, and she had a 9% IPA, and then it's something else, and she was feeling all right. So then Steve brought down his cocktail de
Depth
jour,
charge.
and she sucked down about 3 of those in about 7 minutes. And we didn't see Amy anymore after 4:30. And she
But the house was definitely spinning with her inside of it.
yes, definitely. Steve did hit the button that spun the house really hard.
No, she was the.
I know. She was hammered. It was funny. And so now she understands. Now she can be part of the gang. She got jumped in by Hoffert.
Well, if it's any consolation, she had a nice, easy day today.
Yeah.
You know, Piper was here. Her and B got to hang out, and so that was cool.
Yeah, no, it was a good
Amy
day.
sat out on the beach and read a book and convalesced in the fresh air.
She's in one of those old school wooden wheelchairs with a blanket on her legs.
I broke her back in with a nice little Bloody Mary, just, get her down. So she's doing fine.
She said her strategy today was every other drink was so a bubbly, then a cocktail,
Then a bubbly,
then
yeah.
a cocktail.
All right, good
She's
for her.
weaning herself back on, just so you know.
Good.
She'll be back to fighting strength tomorrow.
Excellent.
So how does he go from beer, water, beer, water, beer, water to beer, wine, beer, wine, beer, wine?
I don't know. Oh, that just sounds bad.
I cannot drink wine with anything.
I can.
You can?
Oh yeah,
You can drink a beer and wine.
I have. Not only can
Doesn't
I,
that make
but
you sick as a dog?
well, I get a little banged up, but but
You're not
Mrs.
going to
Smith
say it doesn't curdle a little bit.
No, tasted great. 3 stars.
Yeah, this experience right now is definitely a 3-star experience for me.
Oh man. Well, does anybody have anything else?
Not really much. Do we have any listener emails?
No, we don't. We don't have listener.
I
anything.
miss Phil though.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we
I
definitely
wish
missed
Phil could have come up here. So
So that's the problem. So
Well, he's still. I'd say
he's working.
that's the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for him to take off. He's got all the bikes flying out of the shop. Everything's going well.
maybe we should do a snowmobile podcast from the shops, pretty much not doing anything in the winter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so what's the deal? So this is also a snowmobile park, right? Like people all hang here and sled in the winter.
Right, they have
Yeah, I
broom
think it runs
trails,
from here to Minnesota.
And it runs to Canada too. So.
Right.
Although you get shot at the border now because of COVID, but
You're welcome.
Hoff, did I see that you guys have a Tesla charging station here somewhere?
It says it on the map, but I didn't.
I was convinced that he had made that happen. I was like, well, he obviously
Well, he
brings
probably
his
would have
zero
built
up here.
his own.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's a destination one, so it's like at some business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the business appears where it shows it on the map looks like that business is out of business.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's still there or if it was there, or I mean, I could explore that and see if if it's still somewhere in the vicinity. But it showed it at the business right now that's for sale, that's out of business. So I don't know. I think that an SRF up here would be very fun.
Oh yeah.
But I can't run back to the plant and get some run back to the camp and get extra electrons to pour into it in case it runs out of
up here
electrons. So.
Well, it definitely sounds like anything up here needs to have a decent amount of range. I mean,
Yeah, I just when we were driving around and even when you said you looked and from the satellite view, when most cities or even rural areas, you're driving and you'll see a business or a few houses or something. On some of the roads we were on today, we went 10 miles and it was just pine trees and there was nothing. There was no houses, there was no trees, there was nothing.
yeah, it came in at night, so I really didn't get to see what it was like driving in. Other than at one point we were driving, and you could tell it was just trees on both sides.
Yeah.
Piper was a little freaked out.
because Bigfoot was looking at you.
Yeah, Sasquatch. No.
Siren Head.
Siren Head.
What's Siren Head?
Oh, it's the new scary guy.
Okay, wait. Come on, Piper.
Okay, so Siren Head is it's kind of like, what's his name? Trevor Henderson. He likes to create or draw creepy things pretty much, and I guess the new one, or people have been making games out of it, is Siren Head. And it's this big, really tall, it's almost as tall as trees, and
Telephone pole type legs.
yeah. And it's really big, and its head, it's kind of like a Slenderman kind of thing.
It's a Slenderman kind of thing, and his head is like a storm siren.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just two sirens.
And he walks around and he makes noise. He makes broadcasts of people in distress and stuff like that, and tries
sirens.
But is it
people in.
is it something that is potentially real, or is it something that somebody made up?
Well,
It's
you
100%
always-
real.
You always have these sightings,
Yeah.
but nobody knows if they're real or not. Who knows?
It's the modern day boogeyman for these kids. It's the next permutation of Slender Man.
Right. When Piper gets
Slender
home
Man
on
was this
Tuesday,
tall guy who was
she's
pretty
meeting
big.
with her friends where they're going to organize in the woods and then go to try to find him.
No,
correct?
I don't want to do that.
Okay, I'm just making sure. You're good.
I would not want to find Siren Head, Slender Man, Mothman, Bigfoot,
I'd like to find. Never mind.
Nessie.
I'll let it go.
Maybe Nessie. Nessie sounds like would be friendly.
I think this.
Sasquatch would be pretty cool. I think that dude would be sweet.
Well,
to
you know
have.
what?
Canada.
There's a lot of sightings around here, and the dude on I think right down the street said that he was going south or going north up here.
Yeah.
Towards Blue Mountain Lake, and he was hearing them the Yeti calls in the woods, and it scared the crap out of them.
Wow.
So,
You also said that there's a possibility that bear might be in the vicinity.
there are black bear, and I haven't seen one here yet this
Well,
year.
It's a good thing we're not sleeping outside tonight.
Yeah, well, we have bait. The thing is, I'm going to be inside, but I did
Because I still have some of that pork
smear
fat that
bacon all over Chris's
I
tent.
still have some of that pork fat we could sprinkle around there.
I
And
thought you were going to say you're going to throw a few brats out there.
Isn't this a hotbed for alien activity
Yeah.
too?
make sure you have the
UFOs?
GoPro
If I see a
set up.
green light-
This is going to be good.
Chris is gone in the morning.
Yeah.
I get his bike.
Make sure you leave the keys where we can find them.
Yeah.
Chris, if you're gone in the morning, he'll get your bike and we'll make sure Miss Smith is happy for you.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
And I'm not cleaning the poop out of the tent.
Yeah, just burn it.
well, this is definitely not a podcast.
Not a podcast. Well, is
All right, is
that
that
it?
it?
I think that's it, guys.
And on that note,
Bum,
bum, bum, bum, bum, bum.
Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Press the button.
Oh, Lord.
I
press
can't
the
find
button.
it. There it is.
Ha ha ha!